The invaders, a collective of interdimensional predators known as the Phase-Stalkers, didn't believe in the honesty of a three-dimensional war. They were masters of this shimmer, a state of existence that occupied the thin, vibrating spaces between the layers of reality. When they arrived, they didn't hover in our skies or march through our streets. They sat in the exact same space as our cities, but at a frequency our atoms couldn't touch. We saw them as ghostly distortions in the air like heat haze on a highway, but they saw us as clear, defenseless targets. Their phase lances would emerge from the void, cut a skyscraper in half, and vanish before the debris even hit the ground. Our missiles passed through their hulls like ghosts through fog. Our radar showed nothing but empty air, even as our fleets were being torn apart by invisible claws. To the Stalkers, humanity was a species of flatlanders, trapped in a single dimension while they owned the entire deck of cards. They thought that because we couldn't see them, we couldn't hit them. They assumed that the laws of physics were a shield they could hide behind forever. They believed that the dimensional barrier was a one-way mirror. They were wrong. They forgot that if you can't reach the enemy, you simply break the room they are hiding in. We didn't need to find their frequency. We just needed to shatter the radio. We created the Fracture Protocol. And we birthed the fourth reality breach division, the Anchor-Mauls. We don't use sleek fighters or stealth bombers. You can't out-hide a ghost. Instead, we built the Breaker-class mechs, 50-meter-tall titans of ultradense industrial steel, powered by unstable black hole miniature cores. We don't carry cannons. We carry mass collapsers, colossal multi-ton hammers and maces that generate a localized field of infinite density upon impact. We don't aim at the enemy, we strike the fabric of space itself. When an Anchor-Maul swings, the force doesn't just crush metal, it collapses the dimensions into a single violent point of reality. We drag the ghosts into our world, and once they are solid, we show them why humanity is the apex predator of the physical realm. I am Commander Breach Sterling. My core is humming at 98% instability, and I'm about to break the universe. The mission was the reclamation of the Void Rift over the ruins of Tokyo. The Stalkers had established a phase anchor in the clouds, a massive, invisible spire that was slowly pulling our reality into the shimmer. If the rift opened fully, the Earth would be folded into a pocket dimension where the Stalkers would hunt us at their leisure. Core sync at maximum. Engage the density pumps. Let's shake the house. I roared into the haptic link. The vibration of the Breaker 09 was so intense it rattled my teeth inside my skull. Maul 2 Vax, density at 80%. I can see the ripples breach. They're circling us like sharks in a tank. Maul 3 Thorn, gravity well is primed. On your mark, we crack the mirror. I looked through my face-sighted visor. The sky was a mess of translucent shapes. 3 Phase-Stalker wraith ships, needle-thin vessels 100 meters long, were dancing around us, their hulls flickering in and out of existence. They fired their lances, beams of white-hot energy that ignored my armor and tried to slice directly into my pilot capsule. Dodge. I slammed the lateral thrusters, the 50-ton mech leaping through the air with a grace that defied its bulk. The lance grazed my shoulder, but because the Stalkers were still phased, the damage was localized to the outer paint. They were getting cocky. They thought I was just another blind giant swinging at the dark. Now, shatter strike. I ignited the thrusters on the head of my mass collapser hammer. The purple glow of the gravity core intensified until it was a blinding sun in my hands. I didn't swing at the ships. I swung at the air between them. Kaboom. The impact didn't make a sound at first. There was a sickening pop of displaced air, and then reality itself began to scream. Where my hammer hit, the blue sky of Earth spiderwebbed with jagged, white cracks. It looked like I had hit a giant glass dome. The shimmer was being forced into a single point of density. The 3 race ships were caught in the shatter zone. Their phase generators groaned and sputtered as the dimensions they were hiding in were crushed into ours. I watched with feral joy as the iridescent, ghostly hulls suddenly turned solid, matte gray, and heavy. Their meat now. Smash them. Vax didn't hesitate. He brought his gravity mace down on the nearest ship. Without its face shielding, the alien vessel was as fragile as an egg. The mace crushed the ship's midsection, the gravity well inside the weapon literally folding the alien hull into a ball of scrap metal. The ship didn't explode, it was imploded into a sphere the size of a car. Thorn followed up, using his mass clamp, to grab the second race ship by its tail. He slammed the vessel into the ground with enough force to create a crater 2 blocks wide. I turned toward the third ship, the phase anchor's spire looming behind it. The alien captain tried to re-engage its phase drive, but the reality cracks, I had created acted like an anchor. It was stuck in our world and it was terrified. Nowhere to run, Ghost? I charged. My thrusters carved deep grooves into the asphalt. I swung the mascolapser in a horizontal arc. The hammer hit the ship's bridge. The resulting shockwave was a physical wall of force that leveled the surrounding buildings. The wraith ship didn't just break. Its molecules were forced into a state of superdensity. It shattered into a million pieces of black glass. The anchor is exposed. Hit the core. The primary spire was now visible, a towering needle of shifting geometry. It was trying to vent the excess gravitational energy to return to the shimmer. It was pulsing with a violent violet light, preparing to phase blast us into oblivion. Vax. Thorn. Anchor chain. The two mechs slammed their feet into the ground, firing magnetic tethers that locked onto my frame. I was the focal point. I funneled the energy from their black hole cores into my own. The Breaker 09 began to glow with a terrifying white-hot intensity. Density overload. 100%. I leaped. I was no longer a machine. I was a falling star. I brought the mascolapser down on the very tip of the phase anchor. The impact was the end of the world. The gravity field produced by the hammer was so powerful it momentarily distorted the light of the sun. The phase anchor didn't just explode, it was deleted. The dimensional rift it had been holding open snapped shut with a thunderclap that was heard on the other side of the planet. The shockwave of absolute reality rippled outward, forcing every hidden stalker in the city to become solid. Across Tokyo, thousands of alien phase troops suddenly appeared in the middle of our streets, our buildings, and our bunkers. They were dazed, their technology fried by the reality shatter. They were no longer ghosts. They were just targets. The human resistance, waiting in the shadows, didn't hesitate. Without their phase shields, the stalkers were systematically dismantled by our conventional fire. The apex predator had dragged the prey into the light, and the slaughter was absolute. I stood in the center of the crater, my hammer's core slowly cooling to a dull purple. The Breaker 09's armor was cracked, its hydraulics were hissing steam, and my vision was swimming with the after effects of the gravity well, but the sky was solid. The clouds were real. The shimmer was gone. Vax. Thorn, report. I panted, my voice raspy from the G-force. I'm solid, breach. The air feels heavy. It's perfect. Still standing. The rift is closed. We've anchored this sector. I looked up at the sky. The stars were no longer flickering. The Phase-Stalkers were no longer a mystery, they were just a pile of scrap metal and blue blood. They had come to our world thinking they could hide in the cracks. They found out the hard way that when humanity can't find a way through the wall, we just bring the whole building down. Humanity has proven the ultimate truth of the apex retribution. You can hide in the folds of space. You can exist in the gaps between seconds. You can try to be a ghost in our machines. But we are the species that owns the physical realm. We are the reality breakers. And we will keep hitting the universe until it gives us what we want. The anchor is destroyed. The rift is sealed. The world is solid. The mission is complete. Now, someone get me a drink with some actual weight to it. I'm tired of the light stuff.